Look, let me be very clear about what we're about to discuss here, because I'm not interested in speculation. I'm not interested in conspiracy theories. I'm interested in facts. And the facts, the documented, provable facts, show that the United States Department of Justice has just committed what appears to be a brazen, deliberate violation of federal law. Donald Trump fought tooth and nail to not release the Epstein files. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Mike Johnson desperately tried to cover up for the president. On December 19th, the Justice Department released files related to Jeffrey Epstein, the dead pedophile who trafficked girls to the rich and powerful. But here's the problem. Congress passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which Trump signed in mid-November, requiring the DOJ to release publicly all unclassified records within 30 days. So let me ask you a simple question. Did they follow the law? No, they did not. And I'm going to show you exactly how they broke it and exactly who they're protecting. Let's start with the statute itself. The bipartisan effort by Democrat Rep. Ro Khanna and Republican Rep. Thomas Massie couldn't have been clearer. The law mandates, and I quote the actual text here, that the Attorney General shall make publicly available in a searchable and downloadable format all unclassified records. Did they do that? No. At least 550 pages were reportedly fully redacted. 550 pages of, what? Black boxes, redactions, nothing. Now, the DOJ claims they released documents. Sure, they released something. But let's talk about what the FBI told us they had. Over the summer, the FBI put out a memo that said their files include a significant amount of material, including more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence. 300 gigabytes. That's the number. According to reports, they released less than 1% of what they possess. And the most important documents? The draft indictment of the first Jeffrey Epstein case that really implicates other rich and powerful men, according to Khanna? Not there. A 119-page document labeled Grand Jury NY is completely redacted, and 3 consecutive documents totaling 255 pages are each fully blacked out. So let me be blunt. This is not compliance. This is contempt. Contempt for the law. Contempt for survivors. Contempt for the American people. But it gets worse. Because what we witnessed wasn't just selective release, it was active manipulation. Let me walk you through what happened. CBS News downloaded the complete set of documents on Friday and compared it to what was available Saturday, discovering that at least 15 newly released files have disappeared from the Justice Department's website. Think about that timeline. Files released. Public downloads them. Public starts examining them. And then, whoops, files vanish. Gone. What was in those files? One showed a photo of President Trump among a mass of framed photos on a desk. Interesting timing, wouldn't you say? The Department of Justice has not responded to requests for comment about the discrepancy. Of course they haven't. What are they going to say? Sorry, we accidentally released evidence that made powerful people uncomfortable, so we memory hold it? This isn't transparency. This is a cover-up happening in real time, right in front of our eyes, and they think we're too stupid to notice. Well, we noticed. Now, despite their best efforts to sanitize, redact, and disappear evidence, some things slipped through. And what slipped through is damning. The files include photographs of prominent figures including former President Bill Clinton, with one showing him in a hot tub with a person whose face has been redacted. There are photos with Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, others. But here's what really matters. Some of the photos in the files are marked CSAM, which stands for Child Sex Abuse Material. Not alleged, not suspected. CSAM. That's what the FBI found. And let's talk about what else they found. Grand jury transcripts show testimony from an FBI agent who, when asked by a grand juror in 2007 if Epstein coerced the girls he abused, struggled to answer, citing that they were paid $200 to $400 to perform these massages. $200 to $400. That's the price point we're talking about. That's what the FBI knew. That's what they documented. And what did they do with this information? For years, nothing. So let's ask the obvious question that nobody in power wants to answer. Who are they protecting? Maria Farmer, an Epstein survivor, lauded the release of her child pornography complaint to the FBI as part of the files, with her legal team saying the document proves that if the FBI had simply done its job in 1996, Epstein's decades-long sex trafficking operation could have been stopped at the outset. 1996. The FBI was warned in 1996, and Epstein kept operating for more than 2 decades after that. Why? Who protected him? Who enabled him? Who looked the other way? These are not rhetorical questions. These are questions that demand answers. Answers that should be in the documents the DOJ was legally required to release. Epstein survivor Danny Bensky said she feels validated at the release, but added, "There's so much information, and yet not as much as we may have wanted to see." Translation: we got scraps when we were promised the full meal. Now, you might be wondering, will anyone face consequences for this flagrant violation of federal law? The authors of the Epstein bill, Reps. Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, said the release does not comply with their legislation and were exploring all options to obtain the full release. Good. Do it. But here's the problem. The law does not establish a penalty for noncompliance. Think about that. Congress passed a law requiring full transparency. The DOJ violated that law, and there's no automatic penalty. So what incentive did they have to comply? Even Trump's own base is furious. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene ripped the Department of Justice in a post for its execution in releasing the files, calling it not MAGA and saying, "People are raging and walking away." When you've lost Marjorie Taylor Greene on protecting Trump, you know you've messed up spectacularly. So let me end where I began, with facts. Fact 1. The DOJ was required by law to release all unclassified Epstein files in a searchable format. Fact 2. They didn't do that. They released less than 1% of what they have. Fact 3. They actively removed files from their website after releasing them. Fact 4. The most important documents, the ones that name names, the ones that show who knew what and when, are missing. This is not a mistake. This is not bureaucratic incompetence. This is a deliberate cover-up of one of the most significant criminal conspiracies in modern American history. And the question we should all be asking is simple. Who are they protecting, and why? Because survivors deserve answers. The American people deserve answers. And the law that was passed with bipartisan support and signed by the president, demands answers. If you found this valuable, share it. Make sure people see what happened here. Don't let them bury this story in the holiday news cycle. I'll see you next time.